committed tonight that no matter what takes place in this project will not go back to the taxpayers any more than $350 million. We need that assurance.
So you know that's a promise that I can't make. As a building committee chair, as one of 8 members of that committee, I can't make a promise of what we paying $350. I've said that, and I've said that in part to make sure that the message is pretty clear that we have to get absolutely as close to budget as possible. Now we have to be realists too, right? When you get a $350 million figure developed in 2022, and then you start to actually do the project. I mean, I kept saying 350, and at the end of the day, if the project was in at 361 or 365 or whatever it is, I would still consider that a success.
Please just state your name for the record.
Thank you, Chair. Hello. Thank you, Chairman Galvin, and members of the school committee. My name is Arnold Lucy, LUSI. I live in Warwick, I work in Warwick, I live in investment property in Warwick. My first question is to the architects or to the third-party estimator regarding the cost of the project labor agreement. Is anyone there that can answer that for me?
Could, Chris, can you take that?
So,
Thank you.
are you asking the cost of the study that was completed, the cost of the legal study that was completed?
No, I'm asking when the architect at one of our school committee meetings said that it could be a 5 to 10% increase to use a project labor agreement. That would be $14 to $28 million. Now, I think that's a little high, spending my entire career as a union contractor. So I'm curious as to why we are entertaining project labor agreement. Why are we reducing the number of companies can do this work for us? It doesn't make any fiscal sense. So that's my first comment. My second comment is, I would hope that we don't start any construction until Video Construction, who's a fine contractor, he's one of the best, until we have a guaranteed maximum price with no escape hatches to grab more money. I think that the price that you're estimating, the $704 and $764 is way low. It's way too low. This job's gonna go $425,000, $450 million. Now you can say I'm wrong, but unless we have it locked in before that April start date for the toll gate and the May start date for Pilgrim, then we shouldn't do it. You know, the city council just ratified 3 union contracts yesterday, and what they did is they made the unfunded liability bigger. They didn't cut anything, they didn't get any concessions from the unions, and that was a union contract. I had agreements with the coppers and laborers, so we're going backwards. We don't have the money to do this job. We simply don't. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rob Cody, Board President, Certified Structural Inspector, been inspecting schools for 30 years. So I have some questions. What's the total square footage of the schools today?
I'd like to pass that question on to the design team to give you an accurate. Steve, if you want to take Tollgate, Katie, if you want to take Pilgrim.
Tollgate High School is at 197,000 square feet.
Was that existing or proposed?
No, proposed new construction.
Yeah, 204,000.
So we basically cut down the schools from what was proposed and sold to the city that they voted on by 103,000 square feet. I think that's considerable. So I remember Chris Beagle saying that toll gate was designed and then they had to redesign 75% of it. What was the cost of the redesign? We paid the architects to design it, then they found the ledge and wetlands, and then we paid them to redesign. What was the cost associated with that?
All dispute that I ever said was a 75% redesign. It's been a substantial redesign. I don't know the exact percentage, Mr. Cody. I believe most of the cost of the redesign was covered with the architectural contract. However, there was a change order that was presented and approved by the school building committee of approximately, I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but I think it was around $250,000.
So is that because they didn't do the proper investigations on the ledge prior to that?
No, I don't believe that's the case. We vetted the change order, we presented it to the school building committee. There were some negotiations that took place on what we felt was really owned by the architects and what was the new scope of work to adjust to the changing conditions of the site. And we believe that it was warranted at that price. It was negotiated in the school building committee.
Okay. How many tons of steel are on the project?
I'll defer that question to the design team and the structural engineer. Lance, you up?
Roughly at this stage, at Tollgate, we are, major structural framing, around 1,000 tons, 1,000 to 1,100 tons, in that range.
And Tilburg?
Pilgrim is about 1,100 tons as well. We just issued a set of drawings making that completed our takeoff on that side.
Is it moment free building?
They're predominantly brace frames stabilizing the building with some molding to add for drift control and serviceability.
So no seismic framing of the building?
No, it is all seismic framing.
And is it stage 4?
Grade 3 with a R=3, which is a steel system not specifically detailed for seismic resistance, which is very common for pretty much any building here in the Northeast.
Is it going to be stage category 4 shelter? Either one of them?
We were not aware of any risk category 4 requirements for the building, so we were risk category 3.
Okay. Are there plans for the school department to ensure that a CORE program is instituted?
So if you're asking about specifically background, for those that don't know, you're talking about background checks, Mr. Cody?
Yeah.
Yes, both left field and then you have CORE programs that we enforce on our job sites.
Great. So one thing that I noticed, between the floors, you have like an open railing system. And I'm concerned about liability. And in all the school projects that I've ever been a part of, I've never seen where in between floors overlooking, you just have like a hand railing system. It's typically a glass facade, so I think there's a security or a safety issue more or less. There's high schools, and I know if it was me back there in high school, I'd be throwing blood bombs down the side and spit balls and disrupting everybody because, they're kids, right?
It's a guardrail system, not a handrail system.
Oh, God,
And
but
it
it's
meets-
still like, 42 inches, correct?
Yep, and it meets code, so it's been fully vetted by our code consultant.
But there's also, as you probably saw in the drawings, that there's multiple points of teacher supervision. Administration is not located in one section of the building, it's now located throughout the building, which allows administrators and teachers to have, especially the teacher planning areas, which is Pilgrim specifically, and Tollgate are both located or all located along that central spine. That gives a lot more eyes. Your administrators and teachers are tucked away. They're throughout the building, which allows better supervision to keep eyes on things going on. And of course, the security, the specific security systems, obviously I can't get into, but there are cameras throughout the school.
And these things happen real quickly, and anything that you can do to enhance safety, I'm just not comfortable with that. And like I say, in all schools that I've overseen the inspection, I've never seen that, so that's new to me. Here's a question, how much money is being allocated to temporary heat? Well, right now, one of the projects I'm on, we use $24,000 a week temporary heat. I didn't see any money in any of the budgets for temporary heat.
I'll defer that to Dan O'Connell from Divio, who's leads the pre-construction department. Dan, what are we getting for 10 conditions specifically for Pete?
So we actually have it distributed in between each of the different divisions. So within concrete, we have temporary heat, hot water, and mixture during the concrete portions. Then we're also allocating money towards the masonry facades. And then once the building becomes operational with the mechanical equipment, we do plan on utilizing the new equipment that's going into the building to heat and temper the building as we're finishing construction. We do have money allocated within that for filter changes, airflow changes, and the whole commissioning process as we go through to final turnover.
So my question is, how much is being allocated?
If you take all of it across the board, we're probably somewhere between $750,000, somewhere near there.
So, requesting to submit to the website so we can give you an exact answer.
I have to ask this question because all my neighbors are asking the same thing, and I'm sure we're probably not going to get an answer, but people want to know what's the term of the interest on the bond, what's the total payback of the project with interest, and what will be the impact on the tax rate?
Mr. Cody, I'm gonna
Right.
pause on your time. Those are questions for the city, so, I just don't want you to waste your time on
All right, I just thought it would be important that everybody knows that.
that. Absolutely, sir, and I respect your line of questioning. I just wanted to, protect your remaining 2 minutes here, and, that's a city question, they put the bonds out to say.
So, and this question, I mean no disrespect for this question, it's not a personal attack, but it begs the question, right? Given the fiscal challenges that the Warwick School Department has been up against, which are not uncommon and they are not new, how can the members of the general public and the taxpayers in Warwick be confident that this project will go off in a coordinated fashion, on time and on budget, with no situations like we saw 5 days ago? And I have the utmost faith in the engineering team and the architects, but from a management point of view, we have a history of not coming in on time and on budget, so I'm concerned about that. I pay a lot of taxes, and, you know, this is my home, it's been my home for 65 years. So what has been implemented to keep an eye on things? Within house, not you guys.
I know the question is not directed to left field, but I will say that we have an excellent track record. So far, we have come in on budget and on time with all of the remaining work that we've done at the CTC building in preparation for this work. And we're keeping very, very close eyes. Like I said, we have a team of 5 staff members assigned to this project to ensure that everything, and then of course, the transparency that we see by coming to these meetings and showing budgets and showing our dates, so that we can respectfully hear comments like yours, Mr. Cody, and adjust as we go. We're fully aware that the only way a project like this is successful is through a partnership between the city and the school department, and we're making sure to involve them in their AHJs and every opportunity possible to make sure everybody knows what one hand is doing when construction starts and as we lead up prior to construction.
And Mr. Cody, before you say anything else, I think you have something to say, and also the superintendent, I believe, has a comment as well.
Thanks, Mr. Cody. I think you have to look at the track record on the $40 million and $56 million bond work. The $40 million bond work, we actually did more projects than we had actually anticipated, because a lot of those jobs come in the budget. The $56 million was a little more of a challenge because of inflation, especially on HVAC systems. But overwhelmingly, those projects, past projects, have come in on time and on budget and are well managed. So that's not a concern for me, truly. I think between left field, between their work, and I think that the building committee and the school committee can see that. But most of that is going to be run by the OPM anyway. So we trust them, we trust video, we trust the other professionals that they've enlisted for this. So I'm confident that the project can go off on time.
Well, I know Mr. Testa, you want to say.
1 second, Mr. Cody, respectfully, your time still hasn't been restarted. So you've heard from the OPM and from the chair of the building committee, and Superintendent Danvers also has a response to that question.
Good evening, Mr. Cody. The school board is working, the school OPM, building subcommittee, which has members of the public that serve on that committee. So we're confident that our finances will all work together.
So I know on the building committee, Mr. Testa, you have said a million times, not a penny more. So are you committed tonight that no matter what takes place in this project will not go back to the taxpayers any more than $350 million? We need that assurance.
So you know that's a promise that I can't make. As a building committee chair, as one of 8 members of that committee, I can't make a promise of what we paying $350. I've said that, and I've said that in part to make sure that the message is pretty clear that we have to get absolutely as close to budget as possible. And we have to be realists too, right? When you get a $350 million figure developed in 2022, and then you start to actually do the project. I mean, I kept saying 350. And at the end of the day, if the project was in at 361 or 365 or whatever it is, I would still consider that a success. But ultimately, it'll be up to the community to decide if that extra is something that they want to support. But I would say that the work that was done that has been done by Dino and Field, Sakosho, and San, to get this from the 37.8, which we were talking about in October, and I said then I thought that number wasn't realistic because it was the numbers were coming down. But to do what they did, to not compromise a single programmatic want or need that was developed back in 2018, I think is yeoman's work. And I think that in any other city or town, I think that would be celebrated. So no, I don't have the power to say if it can't be 350, then it doesn't proceed. That's not my call. That's the community's call. That's the city's call.
That also was the language in the bond referendum, remember that? Not to exceed 350 million. So that's why we need a guaranteed maximum price, right?
30 seconds.
The last question that I had is, has there been any talk, I'm hearing things from the community, has there been any talk about repurposing product or equipment from the old schools, bringing them to the new schools? And if so, what would be those products or the equipment?
So happy to take that. We're actually doing a full inventory of furniture, fixtures, equipment to see what we can bring into the new school to hopefully reduce that FF&E budget and put more money either back into the pockets or back into the project, depending on how it's needed. We are doing a full inventory where the architectural team is working hard at it. We have a substantial FF&E budget, but we're pitching pennies here, Mr. Curry. We're trying to squeeze every last little bit of blood out of this storm.
Great, thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public wishing to comment?
Hi, my name is Robin Cognizant. I'd like to address Mr. Tester. I'm wondering if we do go over budget, what is the plan? Are you coming back to the taxpayers?
I'll take that question. So the school committee in 2022 presented a bond through a voter referendum, and it was for $350 million. So if we were to go over $350 million on this project, which tonight it appears that that is the case, then the project, if we require additional funding, would have to go back to, like that additional amount, we would have to request that of the voters.
Would this be before construction is done, or during, or how is that going to happen?
Mr. Testimony.
I think you would need to have a commitment from the city, right? So we do talk to the city regularly, so once we get a final number, again, I'm going to use the number 366, I'm just pulling that out there. So if it's $366 million, then I think that the city, the administration has to decide are they going to be willing to pursue this or not. And from where we sit, common sense says we need an actual commitment. If there's no commitment, then start putting shovels in the ground, you'll end up like we ended up with Toby, where there was no money for a moratorium. We did 20 years. I don't think anybody wants to see a repeat of that. But I think at the end of the day, if whatever that delta is, if it's relatively minor, if you're talking about 4 or 5% extra cost on a $350 million project, and you still get everything that, essentially every single thing that we have in our conceptual design, I think there's a very plausible argument to make to the community to go forward and do that. But ultimately, it'll be the community that decides before they can decide. I think the city, whether it's the mayor and the council, has to make a decision as to yes, we'd be willing to pursue that or no. But I think they want a firmer number before they make that call.
Correct. So my next question is to Jimmy Construction. With the proposed.
Excuse me, could you, I paused your time, could you just get a little closer to the microphone just so we can hear?
If we do taxes on goods coming from elsewhere, how does that kind of affect your prices? With goods coming from Canada, say, steel?
We specifically talking about tariffs.
Yeah.
So we're keeping a very close eye on the market. We do have allowances built into our unit numbers.
25%?
And we've got contingencies built into the project specifically for, in all cases though, we do our best to make sure that everything is purchased right here in the United States of America. And we do our best to specify products that are already in stock with manufacturers and don't have to be fabricated off-site or in other countries. If we will adjust as needed if those tariffs are implemented and to what effect they might have on public construction projects that are taxpayer funded like ours. As legal challenges play out, you can almost certainly, as you've seen with most of the executive orders that have taken place, they're all been halted due to legal action that takes place. Legal action takes a substantial amount of time. It's just another reason why we don't want to take our foot off the gas and why we're being as aggressive as possible to get our products on schedule, get our products ordered prior to any tariffs taking place. So it's absolutely in our minds, and you're right to be concerned about it. We are looking at it very closely.
Well, thank you then.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Ryan, City of Warwick. Just a couple of questions. Do we have a terminal date for when your final cost is going to be submitted to the building committee to test it?
The guaranteed maximum price?
Yes.
So the guaranteed maximum price is going to take effect over the course of multiple amendments to what's currently in place. So in order to keep this project on schedule, we're doing what's called early release packages, which means that we will bid out specific portions of this work prior to the full body of work being bid out, which allows us to keep our schedule. So you'll have a beginning price for 4 divisions of work, let's say, just as an example. So you'll have a price for your steel, your foundations, your underground utilities, things like that that are at the front end of the project. And as we bid out the rest of the work, that price will come in. So there'll be different mechanisms for how much is approved at what point, but it both needs to go before the school building committee for their approval.
So the answer to my question is no? You have no idea when you're going to have a final number?
I can't give you an exact date about when the GMP it requires on
So if we're going to
approval from the town council is required, approval from the school building committee is required. There's multiple variables that I can't give you an exact.
So are you proposing a breakdown before we know what the exact maximum cost is going to be? Are you proposing to break ground on these projects before we know what the exact maximum?
You will know the
cost?
exact price of the work that we're proposing to break ground on. You will know that exact price. So let's say we're breaking ground with a civil package. You will know exactly what that civil package costs prior to paying.
So we're going to be already into the project. There's a digging for the foundation before we know what the final cost is going to be for this project. So we're going to get into it, and we're going to eat whatever the final cost is going to be. Is that what we're?
So that is if we proceed with the early release package date, which we've been instructed to do. That is how you keep the project moving forward, keep it on time and on budget. If we were to wait, let's say, another, Jimmy, how long do we need before all packages are wrapped up and we can get out? So 100% CDs are 324. So that's when we're going to have all of the bidding completed, and we'll be negotiating a guaranteed maximum price. So around the time of groundbreaking is when we're expecting to have a full guaranteed maximum price long before we commit.
Or prior to groundbreaking.
Could be later, I don't have an exact date.
We have to come back to city council to ask for more money presume that we're gonna do that before the ground breaks.
We would have to come back, and that's why we're presenting this budget today, to say, this is the budget, it has a healthy contingency, Daniel has signed off on the numbers. This is the amount of money that we need to feel comfortable to move forward. It could be less than that, that's again why I don't want to give my contingency up. So that in case, let's say on bid day, our steel package comes in $400,000 higher than we estimated, I've got $17 million to cover that $400,000 road bridge. It's a protection, a risk management tool. that we're
Yes.
working on.
So speaking to your contingency, I noticed earlier in your presentation that you had alluded to the fact that if the contingency was used and we're still exceeding what the guaranteed, or you're projecting to exceed what the guaranteed maximum price would be during construction, you would have to revisit the construction plan and see where you get that money from. So let's just speculate that we're going through construction, costs are exceeding what you expected, you used up your contingency. Is the construction team, Vimeo, your company as the PM, going to absorb the overage?
So
Or are you gonna go back, can I finish? Or are you gonna go back to that redesign to cut things from the building plan to make up for those shortfalls?
So that's not how a guaranteed maximum price contract works. So a guaranteed maximum price means that Camille looks at their numbers, they bid out the entire work, they sign with us a guaranteed maximum price for that cost. As long as there's not unforeseen conditions or owner added scope, that's on them to bring the project in on that. That's what we are paying them a fee for. That's where they absorb the risk. That's the whole risk management of this, is that once they sign that guaranteed maximum price, it is on Dumio to bring that project in for the price that they told us, with the exception of unforeseen conditions, which we have our contingency for, or owner added scope. But I doubt the owner's going to be adding any scope to the project.
Just to clarify for the taxpayers, people maybe watching from home, barring any unforeseen circumstance where maybe we find some unbuildable ground underneath and we break ground or any scope changes, which I find unlikely, there can be no cuts to the final.
Once we sign the guarantee agreement, so you're signing a price for a scope of work. Exactly. You're signing a price for a scope of work.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to take a moment to recognize, I did not turn around here, but I do want to welcome Councilman from Ward 3, Councilman Napa. Thank you. Are there any other?
Mr. Chairman, I think I have 2 minutes left on Lucy, LUSI, Ward 9. Mr. Steve, I object to you sticking the camel's nose under the tent so you can break ground. And then, we guarantee the site work, we guarantee the concrete. You're not doing a thing, not putting a spoon in the ground until the 100% CDs is done and the GMP is done.
Mr. Lucy, if I could, I respect you, sir, but we're not keeping track of everyone's time here. So I respect that you came up, you maybe didn't use your full 5 minutes, but I'm not keeping a running log of how much time.
He made an assertion that we were gonna stop.
I understand, sir.
I just know
Mr.
there's
Lewis.
one objection to that.
I understood, Mr. Lucy, thank you. I just didn't want to get it out of hand and people think that they have remaining time, they can come back to the mic. I'm sorry, Mr. Cody, I'm not keeping track of everyone's time. I do find your humor good, but I'm sorry, if you want to come up here and take notes for me, you can do it, but they're all over the door trying to get in. I apologize. Mr. Vittori has the microphone, thank you.
Drinking the door, or president, or graduate, Cody teacher. I have a few questions regarding the classroom and teacher spaces. First of all, if my recollection and memory serves, I counted 23 core classrooms on Tollgate, is that about right?
I believe there are 20 core classrooms.
Okay. So that would presumably mean all teachers would be traveling, or the vast majority of teachers would be traveling.
Yes, we have teacher hubs where the teachers are gonna call their home.
Okay.
Buildings, so they don't own a classroom in this.
So no teacher would be only in a classroom, is that correct?
Correct, they don't own a classroom, they'll be
With
sharing
that,
classrooms.
with that said, what would these teacher hubs look like? We've seen the classrooms, we've seen the common areas, we've seen the athletic fields. What do the teacher hub looks like, and what does the storage situation look like? And I say this not for selfish reasons, but I say this because teachers need high materials, especially when we're moving away from shopping talk we're moving into 24th century learning, hands-on. English teachers need props when they're acting out plays. Math teachers and special ed teachers want manipulatives. And if teachers don't have adequate stories for said materials, that will affect the academic of the students are receiving. So what does the storage situation look like?
It depends on what room is designated for what.
No, in the teacher's house.
So in the teacher house, we have teacher workstations, we have storage, and we have casework, a sink, and sitting areas, so where they can do their work.
And I say this because I looked at the Toby factory is pretty big. And there were only a few teacher hubs and they look pretty small. And that's concerning. I just want to put that out on the record because, especially at the high school level, you have it's not like in the middle school when one teacher is teaching one class. At high school, you could have 3-4 preps with 3-4 sets of materials that you need at any given point on the same day. Are you confident that there's going to be enough room for each teacher to have multiple filing cabinets for their materials?
Well, we followed the program. The program called for approximately 400 to 600 square feet, and most of ours are 600 to 700 square feet.
So, what does the program for public? I don't know what the program is.
So it's hard to describe in words if you
Yeah.
like. We can certainly blow up the teacher planning spaces, there are multiple of them.
Yeah.
And we can give those to you so that you can take a look at
That
what
would
the
be
casework is and things like that.
that would be
We actually just finished the layouts for those rooms with our FF&E consultant, so we can provide those. But we do have 6 to 10 workstations in each teacher hub.
And each
With
teacher
that.
would own a workstation, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and again, I just want to say again, this is important because teachers have materials. This isn't a college professor with a chalkboard going from class to class. They have materials, decades worth of materials, many of my colleagues do, that they need to effectively do their jobs. And if they don't have space to store those materials, that is going to affect education.
Understood. We have also storage cabinets going in all the classrooms, and we
Okay.
also have a storage room in each learning community for
Okay.
classrooms.
All right, thank you.
Chairman Gallagher, if I might just provide a date.
No, you may not. Just kidding, go ahead.
Okay. There was a question about GMP dates, and we just want to be clear. So for exact dates on our schedule right now, we're looking at submitting our guaranteed maximum price for Pilgrim on 5/20. Obviously, we break ground right around that date. GMP approval on 5/27, but we don't start digging for our foundations until 6/3. So we're keeping the camel's nose out of the tent. That was the expression, right?
Special guest speaker tonight.
Hello, Darlene Echo, lifelong resident of Warwick, and graduate of Warwick Public Schools, so I'm glad we're getting a new school. I graduated from Toby. It was built without an auditorium. It was built without a football field. I was in the band in high school, so I got to ride a bus to all of our home games at Warwick Vet, so I guess we're doing that again. But I want to follow up with what my colleague was saying, because I am concerned about this situation where no one is going to have a classroom. As it is, not everyone has a classroom, but in each department there might be 1 or 2 people without a classroom and they travel. If you are having everybody travel, I hope you have an awful lot of carts. I teach English. I teach a lot of novels that involves a lot of moving books in and out of the classroom. So if I've got, say, 5 classrooms that I'm going to, and with all of my books, it's not going to work. And right now for English, we have 3 different bookroom spaces that we're using just for all of our tens and hundreds of thousands of books, and I'm not exaggerating when I say we probably have, I should count sometime, but hundreds of thousands of books. The teacher hub situation, as I said, not everybody has a classroom now, but most teachers do at least have that as a home base. We
we have, I think, about 32 special ed teachers at Tollgate. We've got 16 English teachers. We've got at least probably 14 math, 14 social studies teachers. I don't think you've accounted enough for the number of classrooms that we need and the amount of storage that we need and the amount of workspace that we need. I think it's a mistake to have this hub idea as opposed to what we have now for classrooms. I have a question about the groundbreaking. At Tollgate, we teachers have been forced to park behind the Career Center, walk up a very long set of stairs that's getting longer as the weather gets colder and the weather gets more inclement. Some of us are getting on in years. I've been teaching 37 years, so I'm getting pretty old. And if we don't need to be parking down there because you're not breaking ground till June, we teachers, and I'm speaking not just for myself, but I hear this every day from my colleagues, we would appreciate being able to park behind the school again so we don't have to make that walk every morning up all the stairs with all of our materials. If kids are going to be playing sports back there, I can tell you right now, this is what has brought the comment to the fore again. My colleagues are kind of upset that the kids are going to be back there and we're down behind the school. So I would, if truly groundbreaking isn't happening until June, we need to be able to park back behind the school so we can have an easy, enter and exit from the building. Earlier in one of these meetings, there was talk about glass walls for classrooms. And there was talk if they didn't have the glass walls, the cost would be cheaper. Are the glass walls still part of the classrooms? Because I hope not.
We have reduced the interior glazing, which is our technical term for it, by over 25%. So it's no longer these large glass panels, it's more strategically placed, I should say, to allow for daylight to come into the building without providing large, very open glass.
Because this concern wasn't just cost, it was also safety.
That's what I'm getting. I hope I was able to say that the way the drip glass is more strategically placed as opposed to large panel sheets, and it has been shrunk. Your comments about security also allowed us to save money, so win-win.
Okay. And because and there's also the distraction factor, because as Mr. Cody was mentioning before, kids are apt to do things. They're kids, their brains aren't fully fully formed yet, and they're not thinking all the time. And they are liable to do some things that are not appropriate, and making faces in the window and trying to distract others would be less of a concern probably than throwing things off over a balcony or something too.
30 seconds.
One more. I haven't met anyone currently teaching at Tollgate who likes the idea of that learning stair. I don't know if we need the learning stair. And maybe getting rid of the learning stair might save some money. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Necker.
Good evening, Sean Rainey. I love the new building. Last fellowship was there in 1990, 89. It would have been great. As far as these learners that are here now, I know it doesn't show any lights, but you want to have lights on the football stadium?
Yes, we do.
Lights on the baseball, softball field?
No lights on the baseball softball field. In the current plan.
Mr. Testa.
Mr. Brady, in our stage 2 submissions around, we didn't have lights on the baseball and softball fields. The only fields that were lit were football fields. That was from the original concept to today.
Well, seeing that we're in budget deficit and looking for money, in the future that those fields could be used. I know you don't, I know, Mr. Tester, we talked about this, you don't wanna be a revenue generator. You wanna be a revenue generating school committee, but you don't wanna be a generating school committee. It's, if you need money, renting spaces out to outside companies or places. There's plenty of baseball organizations looking for fields. There's plenty of softball organizations looking for fields. It's a way to bring in some revenue for the city. I know you guys aren't built for that, but it could be a possibility in the future. 21st century education, we think about that in the future on our school committee and our school administration, and we think about what can we do to bring in some money that will help out our, whatever our deficit is. What is the cost for just the building and not the athletic facilities?
Hey Sean, for common friends now, I can cover enough of these. I don't have that answer for you directly in front of me. I can get it for you by tomorrow though. If you want, I'll just, do I just text you it, or would you like me to put it on the website?
You can put it on the website, just that's a question many in the public would be interested in.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
I only ask that because we are in the second or third biggest city with the airport, Breeze Airways, JetBlue, Southwest, all these organizations that have some capital money that they could maybe help donate. I know in Cranston West, when they built a new football complex, they had people donate money, they put signs up on the fence. If we know what it's gonna cost or what we don't have for the athletic facilities, because let's be honest, the athletic facilities are the last to be built, and that'll be the last thing that you guys can cut. That'll be, all your education stuff is great, but when it comes to athletics, we're losing a lot of kids to other cities and towns because of athletic facilities. The other question I had was this new gymnasium basketball facility. Is it going to be a hardwood floor? Is it going to be I think it said 96 feet. That's high school regulation. Would it cost a heck of a lot more to do 5 feet on each end to make it a NCAA basketball regulated?
Currently it's a high school regulation basketball court. It's not an NCAA basketball court. I think when we're talking about budget deficits, having an NCAA court is nice to have. We're trying to give you everything that you need. Adding 5 feet around an 86-foot perimeter is a significant amount of square feet. As for material choices, Katie, we're talking about it's wood floors. It's six obviously one full size, 2 smaller size.
Right.
So 6 hoops, 750 seats. Close to 800 seats.
Okay, you just got to my next question.
I saw pictures from outside stadium.
I've gone to every home Pilgrim basketball game, and every game has been packed. More than what? Last night was over packed. And I heard the excuse that, it was a rivalry game, in city rivalry game, that, will never get that many people there. I beg to differ. I go to every basketball game there. Maybe the girls have less people, but the boys always have full crowds. And for safety reasons, you got fans from other towns. You know how crazy fans are these days. You got fans from other towns mixing in with fans from the home school, and God forbid you say something wrong, and it could turn into a fiasco. So that extra space we need. We definitely need that extra space in the gymnasium.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You take over the meeting, that's how that works. Is there anyone else for public comment or questions? else for public comment or questions? Third time, anyone for public comment or questions? Okay, any other questions from anyone on the committee? Okay. Hearing none, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Mr. Williams, seconded by Ms. Hazelwood, all in favor? Aye. We're adjourned, thank you for coming out, thank you for everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gardner.